Hello everybody, I am back. It is time to finish this challenge. So we are going to get right into it. Before we can take on the Elite Four, there are some trainers in this cave we have to take care of first. These age trainers were a little strong. I started with a Coma O. I send out Big Purple. We're gonna go with the Poison Jab. Doesn't really do a lot. So I decided to swap to Buzz, because Buzz can take care of them pretty quickly. So I go for a Hammer Arm, which almost takes them out, but I'm suffering a really bad speed now. But they go for an Iron Defense, so one more Hammer Arm almost takes them out, but now they have like 1 HP. So I go for a Lunge, takes them out, and we get some levels. And then they send out Dusknoir, so I decided I'm gonna go for Ice Dog, since Ice Dog can take care of them pretty easily. The Water Pulse gives a confusion, which is good for me. Shadow Ball does nothing. My Shadow Ball is clearly better than theirs in winning us the battle. We also had to take on some other trainers, which weren't really that much of a threat. When I came over here, I was surprised. I didn't know I was being forced into like double battles. When I saw what one of these guys had, they had a Zero Aura. That made me a little nervous for this battle because Zero Aura is pretty strong. So I try to swap out Big Purple so they don't get hit, but I can't swap out, so I just gotta hope I can hit something. But they go for close combat on Chompy, and Chompy takes that, so with 2 attacks I'm able to take out the Zero Aura, and they are no longer a problem. So then the follow-up turn I can take care of this shield on pretty easy, and skip a Nasty Plot as well. But yeah, obviously I can't do really much with them, but the Dig takes them out. And then they go to Tectoon. So I just go for a Poison Jab, almost takes them out, and then the Dragon Claw takes them out. And then we get a little bit of levels. The levels are cool, but we win that battle. After those, we then find where Necrozma ended up after the last battle. I wanted to add him to the team, but like I didn't really know any other options to weaken him, so I decided to just use a Master Ball. It is now finally time for the final challenge, the Elite Four. These battles will see if I'm strong enough to become a champion with my random team members. Now it's time to take on the first member of the Elite Four, Mullane. Mullane starts with the Celio, and we start by sending out Big Purple. I decided to swap here because I'm not really confident Big Purple can do a lot, so I swapped to Buzz. They set up a Hail and take a little bit of damage, that's fine. I do a 1 Hammer Arm to take out the Celio. And get some levels like usual. And they send out a Coughing. The Coughing has Drought. I decided to set up a Light Scream, which is probably a good thing because they use a Destiny Bond. If I took that thing out, that would have not been good. I send out Ice Dog, because Ice Dog can just do a little bit, but then they take themselves out for some reason. I'm gonna let them a Choke. So I go for an Exosensory. It doesn't really do a lot. Go for a Scary Face. And then I go for another Exosensory. But they are doing a lot of setup here. I go for a Tri-Attack, but it doesn't do anything. I go for another Exosensory. They almost take me out with a crit. But then they use a full restore, so I decide 1 more Exosensory, and I'm gonna have to swap out here so I don't lose Ice Dog. I send in Chumba. Chumba has quite an advantage here. I go for a Dragon Rush, which almost takes them out, and I go for an Aqua Tail, but they use another full restore, so the Aqua Tail doesn't really do anything. and then I go for another Dragon Rush, which they avoid, and then I go for another Aqua Tail. It literally does nothing. And then I go for Dragon Tail to switch them out, because I didn't really know what to do. And then I send Big Torp back in, because big type advantage here. Go for False Swing, then I go for Poison Jab. Almost takes them out. And then I was gonna go for Fell Stinger, but yeah, this spin threw me off. I decided to go to Chompy. I wasn't expecting to use a Dragon Pulse, but good thing it didn't really do a lot. So I go for a Dig. And that one Dig takes them out, no more Scrub. And then they send Machoke back in. So I decided to just go for a Dragon Claw, which almost takes them out. Good thing he went with a Scary Face, so I went with a Slash, taking out their Machoke. And then we just have to finish up this Grovyle. So I just go for another Dragon Claw, but they use a Detect. So I just go for another Slash, taking them out, winning the battle. For our next challenger, we have Olivia. Olivia starts this battle by sending a Cherubi. I keep Big Purple in because Cherubi is pretty. So we can get off a Nasty Plot. They use a Takedown, take a little bit of damage, but then I go for Poison Jab, which takes them out in one shot. And then they send a Mismagus, so I swap to Ice Dog, because I can use a Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball does pretty decent damage to the Mismagus. So then they withdraw, and then they send out a Lickitung, and yeah, they eat that attack because they're a normal type. Go for Tri Attack. If Power Up, it doesn't really do a lot. Then I go for another Tri Attack. Go for a Screech, which lowers my defense, so I decided to swap out because I don't want any crits on Ice Dog. So we send in Chumba to finish off this Lickitung. One Dragon Rush is enough to take out the Lickitung. And then they send in Porygon Z. But the Porygon Z has slow start, so they can't really do too much. Go for an Aqua Tail. And then I go for a Dragon Rush, but they miss. So I decided to go for an Agility to get my speed up a little bit. And then I go for another Aqua Tail, which almost takes them out. Then I go for another Aqua Tail, which takes out their Porygon Z. And they send out a game, so I switch to UV Black, which is our Necrozma. And they have download, so they're pretty strong. But they goes for a Z move, and this Z move does some damage. But they manage to survive and take them out with one hit. Since they're about to go down, I swap to Chompy. Chompy can take down this Mismagus, no problem with the Dragon Claw. And Dragon Claw is enough to take them out, but then they go for a full restore. So I said go for a Dragon Rush, which almost takes them out. And then one more Dragon Claw would have been enough, but then they use another full restore. So we had to keep hitting this Mismagus until they go down. Dragon Rush almost takes them out. This time there is no more restoring left, and we win the battle. Next up, we have Isorola. Isorola starts out by sending in this Birdmite. At first, I wasn't too worried about this Birdmite, but it had Avalanche, which did a lot of damage. So I decided I was gonna swap Buzz, because Buzz has quite the upper hand here, so one Hammer Arm is enough to take out this Birdmite. And we get a level up. And then Isorola sends in Wailord, so I send in UV Black, because they're pretty strong. I thought they would be fine. I was gonna step in Iron Defense, but yeah. That wasted a turn and caused him to take so much damage. So I send Buzz back in. And now I have to really test my chances here by using a Z move just to take care of this Wailord, because if I don't, they could take out my entire team. So the OL Plummeting is enough to take out this Wailord. I got very lucky with that. They send in a Jolteon so I can send in Chompy to avoid their attacks because he's also ground type. So I use Dig, edging in the ground, and leaves them at 1 HP. And then they use a full restore, so I have to use Dig again, and this time it takes them out. These guys really love using full restores. Given I can't heal, it's making it a lot harder. And they send a Ventilux, so I go for a Tri-Attack. They go for a KO. A little bit more useless, I would say. And then go for another Tri-Attack, and that one burns them. And I take away the hit there, so I decide I'm gonna send Chumba in. And Chumba goes with Aqua Tail, but that Ice Beam takes out Chumba. Chumba's our first loss while doing the Elite Four. But the Hammer Room is enough to take out the Ventilux. And they send an Ace Lord, so I send in Chompy. I go for a Dig. This thing, for some reason, uses Power Swap quite a lot, which makes it quite annoying because Chompy's stats are pretty good. So them swapping constantly kind of caused a little bit of an issue, but at least they didn't really put that much damage. So a couple of Dragon Claws are enough to take him out, but yeah, Aftermath, but not enough to take us out. And we win. We are now on to the final member of the Elite Four. We start by having to face a Spin. We still got Big Purple, so I set up a nasty plot. And then go for a Double Edge, which does a lot of damage, so I gotta swap out. We cannot lose another one. And then I go for Hammer Arm to take out this Spinda and get some levels. They send in an Entei, so I go for Ice Dog since they resist their moves. I go for a Tri-Attack. Doesn't do a crazy amount. I go for another Tri-Attack. So a couple Tri-Attacks will be enough to take them out because of the item I have, which also boosts their normal types, but I decided to swap to Chompy. Well, I didn't start with Chompy, I probably should have, but I used a Slash, which wasn't enough, so I kind of took unnecessary damage, and then they went full restore. So I go for a Dig, which is enough to almost take out their Entei, but not quite. Ooh, Chompy almost goes down too, but I decided to go for another Dig, because swapping more is not going to help. And we take out the Entei. And they send it a Paris, so I swapped to UB Black. And we get the download boost, and then a Power Gem, which immediately takes out the Paris. And they send out a Zero Rare, so this is another easy KO. But I go for another Power Gem, which takes them out. And they send in a little more. So I decide to swap to Buzz again. So we decide to go for a Lunge, which almost takes them out, but not quite. And so we go for a Hammer, which takes them out. You're winning the battle. Now that we have defeated all 4 Elite Four members, there is one more person we have to face to claim our title as champion. It's Hao. Hao starts off pretty interesting by starting with a Goldeen. I send a Big Purple, go with Poison Jab, does pretty decent damage. So I go for another Poison Jab, but they withdraw to a Mamoswine. I know I didn't start with a Mamoswine. So we swap the Buzz. The Earthquake doesn't really do anything. Oh, and I get frozen, but I thought I would immediately go for a Light Screen, and then I go for a Hammer Arm, which takes out their Mamoswine in 1 hit. And then they send in a Whirlipede, so I decide to send UB Black in. My download using an attack boost, I decide to go for a Power Gem, which takes their Whirlipede out in 1 hit. And they send Goldeen back. And then I go for a Night Slash, which almost takes out their Goldeen, but not quite. And then I go for a full restore, so I go for an Iron Defense to raise my defense a little bit, and then I go for a Power Gem. which almost takes out their Goldeen again. And then I go for a Night Slash, which takes out their Goldeen. And then I send a Levanny. I decide to swap to Big. And we're gonna go for a Poison Jab, which does quite a lot of damage to Levanny and Poison Stun. I go for another Poison Jab, taking out their Levanny. And then they said I had Hippopotamus, so I decided to go back to EV and get even another boost. And then go for Night Slash, which does a lot of damage. And then another Night Slash, almost takes them out, but not quite. And then they use a full restore, so I go for a Night Slash. And then I go... I was gonna swap, but then I decided just to go for a Hot Geyser, which takes them out. And then their final is a Celebi. I decided to go with Ice Dog because I really wanted to win the final battle with Ice Dog because of how much they carried in the late game. Use some Aurora Fans, which does a lot of damage to the Celebi. And I try attack to try to finish them off, and I use another full restore. I don't know what's up with these, using full restores, it's gotten really annoying. And then another Aurora Beam almost takes them out, and I finish it off with a Shadow. And just like that, it's over. We win. After all of that struggle, we have finally completed. So let's take a look at our team. We got Big Purple, Chompy, UV Black, Ice Dog, and Buzz, and Jumbo, which took the biggest fall. But thanks to these members, we were able to become the champion, meaning our Nuzlocke is complete. I want to say thank you so much for those that watched this full journey, and if you haven't liked or subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you did. That is all for now. Goodbye.